in the UK, and it's November now, so I haven't seen the sun in 20 days. That does things to a man. And while I personally think that everyone could benefit from talking to a mental health professional, I also know if you start the process now, the earliest an NHS specialist could get back to you is probably January 2044. That's a UK joke. We like to have fun here. That's a lie. If you want to better understand why I'm being so petty, I recommend you watch this video. Anyways, the failings of mental health systems gave me an idea. Why not just learn from history? There are so many great minds and great leaders we could take as examples. And so today's episode, stuff dudes did instead of going to therapy throughout history. Because even the inventor of therapy could have done with some therapy himself, to figure out why he felt so weird about women. But no, he did cocaine about it instead. So who knows what else could be out there? A lot. So in no specific or chronological order, first we have dealing with grief over losing a loved one in Alexander the Great. When his friend Hephaestion died, here's what Alexander did to cope with his loss instead of going to therapy. Chopped off his hair, chopped off the hair of all the horses in the army, banned music, tried to declare his friend a god so that everyone could worship him, and spent the equivalent of $2 billion on a funeral. This included a 7-story pyre filled with riches beyond your wildest dreams, as well as funeral competitions, one of which was a drinking contest that took the life of around 40 people.
God damn it, I'm not doing this 40 more times. There's simply no budget.
And you might think that purchasing 240 ships in honor of your friend isn't the best way to manage one's grief. So let's see how the two most mentally sound Roman emperors chose to heal. Of course, we have Caligula, who declared a national mourning period for his sister's death, and during it, anyone who laughed, dined, or bathed with family, or even said the word fun, would be executed. Or Nero, who was devastated by the death of his wife, despite being the one to murder her. He refused the burial and decided to cope by dressing young boys as his dead wife and presenting them as her during public events. Yeah, this video could have been 15 minutes long if it was just about these two. But anyways, next. What about coming to terms with your own mortality? Well, the first emperor of China, Qin Shi Huang, instead of going to therapy, refused to accept death. If you wish to adopt his coping mechanisms, consider sending your subjects on a search for fairies and magical islands with the goal of finding the elixir of life. P.S. They will not be coming back. You should also believe every single ad you see on news websites that promises results, as well as employ a large number of magicians and alchemists. P.S. They will end up feeding you mercury and other heavy metals which will cause your slow and painful premature demise. It is as Europe wished, your majesty. By fearing death, I have wasted my life. Feeling unsatisfied with reality possibly is a symptom of bipolar disorder? Well, instead of getting therapy, try escaping reality and succumbing to your delusions. There's two routes to this. If you wish to take the advice of George III, simply get really into farming and father 13 weird-looking blonde children. This method also includes demanding members of your court to watch you talk to cows until you start foaming at the mouth, smuggling sheep from Spain, planting meat trees, and also talking to trees. The downside to this is certain manic episodes might have you end up in the liking the opposite gender jacket. The upside? The trees are actually former rulers, and your love of agriculture has endeared you to your subjects who find your obsession with turnips relatable and based. That is not the case with Ludwig II, as his coping mechanisms nearly bankrupted Bavaria, and he probably just had the 18th century version of getting really into Bridgerton, because Ludwig did not concern himself with politics and preferred to build expensive medieval fairy tale castles, where he invited imaginary guests to his imaginary banquets. No gas, no lighting, and certainly no actual people. I personally prefer George III's naturalistic approach. Just don't start writing down your thoughts, because that's a slippery slope to frequenting the post office. Next. Dealing with anger issues. There are many ways to manage your emotions better, but have you tried attacking a large body of water? After a storm destroyed his ships, the king of Persia, Xerxes, did not internalize nothing, no. Instead, he set out to flog the sea 300 times, even branding it with a hot iron rod and throwing shackles into the water as a way of enslaving it. Which seemed like an especially weird thing to do considering plumbing was already a thing in Persia. My king, we have enslaved water at home. Girl, whatever. Caligula also had his army attack the sea, because why fight some Celtic tribes for their minerals when you can fight Neptune and take all his seashells? And it might have been cowardly madness, might have been strategic, we don't know, because Caligula wasn't just fighting some demons. He was a demon himself. Much like Ivan the Terrible. You don't get that nickname by having healthy coping mechanisms. But he certainly had a system, though. Go for episodes of uncontrolled rage, regret it, go into a monastery, cry, fast, demand to be whipped, then repeat until he die of a stroke. Next. self-isolation instead of therapy. I know this is a crowd favorite, so I give you Emperor Tiberius and his island of depraved misery. The years of work-related stress, in his case betrayal, PTSD, and the loss of a son, took their toll on Tiberius. So the Roman emperor, along with an entourage of astrologers, hermits, and sexual deviants, moved to the island of Capri where they will engage in unspeakable horrors. And if you think about it, it's not that conceptually different from how the majority of Gen Z is coping. Of course, I don't mean the elaborate orgy part, I mean the turning your room into an island of self-imposed degenerate exile. And just like Tiberius perhaps, drinking heavily, refusing to see sunlight for days at a time, owning the largest library of pornographic material in the world, surrounding yourself with creepy statues, and being too paranoid to leave, instead of therapy. Now, I also want to mention another different but interesting case of this, Charles VI of France, aka Charles the Mad, who above all received the nickname because he believed that he was made of glass and could break if touched. And to be honest, his isolation probably fed into his delusions, but might have also actually benefited him at the time, because while his condition was chronic, the plague was bubonic. Next. If you're dealing with artist block and burnout, you could take a break, or you can blame God. Just like Michelangelo, and you can steal his look and work ethic by sleeping in your clothes, not bathing, and refusing to speak to people as you relentlessly pursue perfection for 18 hours a day. Mikey, we never see you at the taverna.
No! No!
Taverna.
I'm locked in. I'm in the
Sistine Chapel. I'm trying to get these ass cheeks just right.
stand by me and enjoy
These ass cheeks.
or be gone.
In Michelangelo's words, art is a jealous mistress. She requires the whole man. And so I'm aware a lot of creatives struggle with loneliness. Solutions other famous artists have found for this include eating paint, drinking turpentine, and extreme body modifications. If that doesn't work, consider getting really into the color blue and burning all your paintings every once in a while. Okay, we're running out of animation budget here, so I'm gonna do the last ones real quick. To cope with OCD, try rejecting women and befriending pigeons. If you have self-image issues, try extreme sports and having homosexual thoughts instead. Anxiety and depression, by far the only actual advice on this list. Question God and study worms. And lastly, as for dealing with criticism and self-image issues, reject it, force people to come to your place, and scalp anyone with better hair than you. See how that feels. I also recommend using my code POOPY for 10% off when you buy gamer subs. People once thought Cold Fusion was the future of clean energy, but no, it's actually anime girl thighs. Heavy will not solve your problems, but it's a good addition to the goon cave of self-imposed degenerate exile. And that was all. Okay, bye.